Do you think this is the most vile creature in the animal kingdom? Well, stick around. We're going to learn about ticks today. Hi there, I'm Carly, and welcome to the last Grown Up in the Woods. Now, you're going to think me quite the whiner, because after doing a whole bunch of whining about the snow, it's gotten warm, and I'm still going to whine, because it's tick season. And I don't like ticks. So, ticks suck. Literally, they suck. But I figured the best thing to do when I dislike something so strongly is to learn it, know thy enemy. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to turn off my tick hater and tell you all about ticks. Let's go. Before we really get started, I would like to introduce Jane, my lovely assistant. Jane is a Rocky Mountain wood tick. Although her species are known for spreading Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Colorado tick fever, and tularemia, in this area Jane probably isn't carrying any pathogens. She does, however, have a neurotoxin in her saliva that could cause paralysis. To me, not her. Okay, so let's start off with ecology, because although I try to do this video objectively, ticks don't really come off in the best of light because they're creepy. So, let's talk about their ecological role. While they aren't a major food source for any animal that we know of, they are a food source for many birds and other critters. However, their most important role is controlling the populations of their hosts. A good parasite tries not to kill its host, and those hosts that do die tend to be the weak ones that are less fit for survival. Okay, but here we're already going to start to think of ticks as horrible creatures. So consider the fact that dead moose have been found with up to 95,000 ticks on them. If you multiply 95,000 by 3 milliliters, which is probably about the average that a winter tick takes, you get 285 liters of blood over the winter. And of course, it's not just the blood loss that kills them. The moose will rub at the spots where the ticks are really infested until they lose hair, and not having hair in winter is a bad thing. If you want to, Google winter tick infestation, and you will find some disgusting pictures. So in the past, this has been a natural way for population control, but because of climate change, winter ticks have been thriving. In New England, the moose population has been cut in half, largely because of ticks, and the problem is just increasing all over North America. Okay, now we get to the part that I think is the coolest and the creepiest part about ticks, and that's questing. Of course, if we're going to be talking about something like questing, we are going to need some more epic music. Okay, so the hard-bodied ticks will crawl to the end of a branch or grass, then cling to it with its hind feet while it reaches out and waits for an unsuspecting animal to walk by. Now, some of my sources say that it will detect carbon dioxide and heat and movement and fall onto its host. But Jane wasn't too interested in jumping, and most sources say that they don't. She was very good at grabbing on when I brushed by, though. Now, while I was filming this, I did happen upon a male wood tick, or it happened upon me. Ah! Oh, Jane, I caught you a boyfriend! And when I did the same experiments with him, he seemed a lot less interested in grabbing onto me. I don't know what it was. He obviously knew what he was doing, though, because he found me. Ah! In both cases, when they were questing and I put my hand out, they showed little interest in turning around to grab my hand that was only centimeters away, even when I took my gloves off. Once they get onto a host, they're really good at sticking there. Casually brushing them off doesn't work, even on smooth surface like my boots. It can take them up to 24 hours to find a suitable place to bite. On humans, they like the head, crotch, and armpits because it's well protected and has soft skin that's easy to penetrate. They latch themselves on tight with their mouth parts, and then some species will secrete a sticky stuff called cementum, which does just that. It cements them in place so they can get their little feeder tubes inside, which are also barbed. And then they'll feed for anywhere between a couple days and a couple weeks. So ticks that do contain that neurotoxin is actually meant as an anesthetic, and they'll inject it as they're biting in and sucking, and it's only in a few people that they'll have an allergic reaction and have the paralysis symptoms. Now, as they fill up, they tend to regurgitate and spit up whatever was in their stomach before, which can include pathogens from the other host. So if you catch a tick within the first 24 hours, chances are you haven't caught anything from it, even if it is carrying something, which is why it's so important to check yourself for ticks daily if you're outside in tick country. And as they feed, they get really engorged, they multiply in size, and then they finally detach themselves. The female will go lay her eggs, up to 2,000 of them, and the cycle of disgusting blood-sucking creatures continues. I have some fun facts about ticks. Ticks are arachnids, which make them more related to spiders and scorpions and mites than to insects. There are over 850 species of ticks, and they live on every continent, including Antarctica. They can generally be divided into soft ticks and hard ticks. There is a third family that only contains one species in southern Africa, so I'm pretty much going to ignore those. So hard ticks have a hard plate over their back, and soft ticks don't. They just kind of look like a wrinkled sack. Hard ticks are active in the day, and they're the ones that tend to hang out in the woods and the grasslands, whereas soft ticks tend to hang out in animal burrows and dark places, and they're also nocturnal. So hard ticks are the ones that also carry most pathogens, and so I'm going to be talking mostly about hard ticks. Humans don't actually encounter soft ticks very often. There are 16 known tick-borne diseases that affect humans. Well, 15 if you don't count the neurotoxin that I mentioned earlier as a disease. Hi, Jackie. Oh, this is Jackie. Jackie has had tick paralysis before. What was it like? Okay, thanks for the shake. Thank you. If you've ever tried to squish a tick, it might not be too surprising that they've been around for a long time. The oldest known one is 90 million years old, and it was found in some amber. So they're thought to be feasting on dinosaurs. Which brings me to another fact that I didn't realize until I researched this, is that reptiles will host ticks. So all ticks have 4 life stages. They're egg, larva, nymph, and adult. The last 3 of those need to feed on blood. And so some ticks will have 3 different hosts. Often the larva will feed on a smaller bird or a smaller mammal, and then the nymphs and the adults will go on to a larger animal like a human or a dog or a deer. Some ticks will do 2 hosts, and then some ticks will just stick with the same host his entire life. But when you get the 2 and 3 host ticks is where you have a problem, because they take blood from an infected animal and then they spread it to the next animal. Before I go, since I've been talking about a potentially deadly arachnid for the last while, maybe I'll give you a few tips on how to avoid them and how to avoid contracting any pathogens from them. So if you're walking in tick country, tuck your socks into your pants, or wear tight pants with boots, because ticks have this very strong instinct to climb up. So if you can keep them on top of your clothes, you'll have more time to spot them and get them off of you before they bite in. Oh no, I've misread my notes. It actually says that if you're walking in tick country, you should tuck your antlers into your socks. Okay, if you say so, Carly. Another thing is to know when tick season is in your area and know what diseases can be spread by ticks in your area. When you're walking, it's always best to stay on the trail, less brushes for you to brush against. Of course, that's not always possible. So just be vigilant and watch for ticks. And then when you get back home, do a full body search. Take off all your clothes and do a naked search. So if you do get a tick, use tweezers and clasp onto it as close to the head as you can and pull back very gently and steadily until it comes out, and don't twist it. And if the head does get stuck inside, don't panic. Your body will expel it on its own. And regardless of whether there's any bits left in behind, just be sure to disinfect that. And you can also keep the tick in some alcohol. So if you do get sick, you can take it to the hospital for testing. And then continue to monitor the area. Common sign of Lyme disease is like a bullseye rash around the wound, and a lot of tick-borne diseases have flu-like symptoms, so if you get those within a few weeks after your bite, maybe take that tick in and get it tested. Okay, I'm going to take this antler out of my sock for the question of the week. Okay, the question of the week is, why shouldn't you eat raw slugs, besides the fact that they're disgusting? Oh, and I wanted to say a quick thank you to Kentucky Woodsman. He sent me a sticker like 2 months ago, and I have not been filming at my house, so I haven't been able to say thank you. Kentucky Woodsman is an awesome outdoors channel. I've been watching Kentucky Woodsman since probably like the early days of my YouTube channel, almost 3 years, and still love his stuff, so definitely worth checking out. In fact, you can just click on it right here if you want to go do that. You can also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and you can look at some other videos here, including one with the answer to the question of the week. If you answer the question, by the way, you'll be entered in a draw to win a Cairn box. Okay, that's it. So long, and see you next week-ish.